everyone, it's Andrea from Movers and Bakers. Today I'm going to share with you how I make my M&M New York style cookies. These are beautiful, chunky, chewy cookies cram-packed full of chocolate chips and M&Ms. You are going to love them. Let's get baking. So to start with, I'm going to pop my butter into my mixing bowl. And before I add my sugars in, I just like to give it a bit of a mix in case it's a bit harder, just to soften up a little. Now, if it was summertime or if it's warm where you are, you absolutely can miss this step out, it's not a problem. It's just because my butter's a little bit harder, so I just wanted to soften it before I added my sugar. So to my butter, I'm going to add two types of sugar. I've got soft brown sugar and I've got caster sugar. With all of these, you can find all the ingredients and the quantities in the link below this video on my blog. So do check them out after if you want to make these cookies. So we're going to mix this up, bring it all together until it starts to go a little bit fluffier. Right, so now my mixture is all combined, as you can see, and it's lovely and soft. I'm going to add some vanilla into it. This is just 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, so to that mix, I'm going to sieve over my dry ingredients. So I have some plain flour, corn flour, some baking powder and some baking soda, and finally some salt. I'm going to sift all that in, and while I'm sifting, this is a really good time for me to remind you to hit that like button if you like my recipes, my videos, and don't forget to hit subscribe as well. Time to get mixing. And once everything is completely combined, it will look a bit like damp sand or breadcrumbs, that kind of texture. That is exactly what you want. So to that, I'm going to add my chocolate chips. I'm using milk chocolate chips today. You can use dark chocolate or white chocolate, whichever you want, or even a mix of all three. So that's my chocolate chips in, and of course the star of the show, my M&Ms. Today I'm using peanut M&Ms, but you can use regular M&Ms without the peanuts in if that's what you want to do as well. Now I have a big bowl, as you can see, of M&Ms here. This is 200 grams of M&Ms. I'm not going to put all of them in. I'm going to put most of them in, but I'm going to keep some aside in my other bowl to stud my cookies when they are ready. And have an even mix of colours if you want to as well. So I've kept aside maybe about a dozen or so, maybe a bit more. So we're going to make 8 cookies out of this mix, and then the rest of these are going to go into my cookie mixture. Now I'm just going to use my spatula to give them a quick mix around, mix it all the way through. I love making cookies because they are so quick and simple to put together, and my favourite thing to do is to make a whole batch, pop them in the freezer and then leave them there once they have firmed up, and then I can have cookies whenever I want. I just have to turn my oven on and bake cookies. Okay, so now I've got all that mixed in. My last ingredient to go in is my egg. Now I'm not going to put that directly in. I'm going to crack it into a bowl first and give it a little bit of a whisk. And doing that just means that when I pop my egg in and I mix it up, I don't have to spend too long making sure that the egg is properly broken up and mixed through. So just giving it a very quick whisk, and then I'm just going to pop it in, and you only want to mix this mixture now once my egg goes in until it's come together. You don't want to overmix it because then you start working your flour and you make your cookie really tough, and you want it to remain soft and chewy and beautiful. So I'm just going to spread this out all over. We want to get, because this is the only real liquid that we're putting in, apart from the butter when it warms up, we want to make sure we get all the egg. So I'm going to give it a very quick whisk. And that's it. That was literally about 5 to 10 seconds of mixing, and you can see it's starting to come together, and that is perfect. Okay, so now I'm ready to go. My next step is to weigh out my cookies, or my cookie dough. So you can, if you want to, you can absolutely eyeball it. This makes me 8 cookies, so if you're confident that you just want to split it evenly into 8, go ahead and do it, but I actually like to weigh my cookies out. So on my weighing scale, I'm going to weigh each lump of dough before I push it together, and each one should come to around about 100 grams. Okay, I've got 99 grams, that will do me fine, that's close enough. So we're gonna pop it in my hand, and I'm just going to very, very gently squeeze it together. I don't want to overhandle it, I just want to make it all stick to itself into a rough ball. You can see there are gaps, there are lumps and bumps, and that is absolutely fine. And I'm going to pop that onto a baking sheet with parchment paper on it, and then I'm going to do that with all the rest of my cookie dough. So I've got my cookie dough balled already. Now I'm going to do the studding. Do you remember those M&Ms that we left aside earlier? I'm going to use them, and I'm just going to push them into my cookie dough. And this is a totally optional step. You can chuck all these into your cookie dough if you want. But I like doing this as well, just because it means that when my cookies have baked, I will have lovely bits of M&Ms studding the top of my cookies rather than being buried underneath in the cookie dough. So I'll get lovely pops of colour within my cookies as well. So I'm just going to stud all my cookies with the M&Ms that I left aside earlier, and then these are going to get frozen. Now I pop these in my freezer for 30 minutes, and that just helps everything really solidify and become really firm, which then means when I bake my cookies, they stay nice and thick instead of spreading out in the oven with the heat off the oven. So once these have cooled for 30 minutes in the freezer, they will then bake in my oven for 10 to 12 minutes. I will leave them completely to cool for about 30 minutes on the tray. I will not move them because they still come out slightly soft. And I will see you on the other side with freshly baked cookies. Welcome back. So my cookies have baked and they have cooled on the tray, and I have just transferred them just to make sure onto a cooling rack. And here they are ready. So they are beautiful, thick, chunky cookies with lovely spots of M&Ms on them, on the top of them as well. Lovely, chunky cookies. Let's crack one open to show you. Oh, look at that. So they are beautiful and soft and chewy in the middle, you can see, with the M&Ms all the way through. Lovely. And there you have it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe if you have. And thanks for joining me today. See you next time. Happy baking.